you got a mixture going on all the time, with these thoughts. And so I have to go to the numbers. And that's one reason you'll hear me say, if I start getting off course, I gotta, patience will pay. I'll study the numbers and make sure that I have everything lined up. Because when I stand back and look at the month of May, I mean, I think Jonathan has put out in a summary all the trades we've made. Probably 20, 25 trade success this month has been unbelievable. The markets took off in May. It is up for the month, even though it's down right now a little bit. But as Chuck said last night, the market is soared in the month of May. But I've been expecting a sell-off at the end of May, maybe the start of June, and a little back and forth. Now, the thing you got to remember, even though the House passes the big, beautiful bill, it goes to the Senate. And the Senate's going to do the same type thing that we saw in the House, where they come in and as I said, they come in and grandstand, I guess is a good way of saying that. Because at the end of the day, we've got to pass this bill because it affects the economy, affects what we're doing. And I think the long-term effects of this bill will lay the foundation for what I think will happen in the second half of the year. But that's out there in the future, and we'll have to have numbers justifying that to trade it that way. But I look at stocks, I look at what's going on around the world, and everything's falling into place. Now, maybe it's not pretty, it's not, like steadying up right now, but it will be. We just got to go through, I guess, it's like a big battle. And there'll eventually come a time. Right now, there's more shorts in Wall Street, but I don't see how they could, if they don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know how you couldn't come to a conclusion to be short with all the news you read. I read all this stuff, and I'm thinking, that's not the way I interpret it, but that's the way the news media interprets it, and people read that. It has an effect on sentiment. Okay, and all you got to do is go, look at a few articles. You don't see the words they choose. And the words they choose are very selective in the words they choose, and that can really, play on you when you read things. Okay, so the numbers will always tell us what to do, and we'll stick with the numbers. But I just wanted to point out, even when I read some of the stuff, I'm like, wow. And then, and I've got a lot of experience reading this stuff over the years. But anyway, we'll try to stay on the straight and narrow and make some money like we've been doing. That's all we can do. We can't, there's a commercial out. Have y'all seen the commercial where the golfer is hitting the golf ball and is dead? It's got the hose. Have y'all seen that commercial? It's a funny commercial, but it makes a lot of sense. You have to focus on what matters. And what matters is these numbers. And we'll be talking about that as we get further and further into it. Right now, a lot of talk is about the bonds and how weak the bonds are. And they're throwing up facts. The highest yield since 2000. I mean, all this crap. Anyway, the whole point is bonds are going higher at the end of the day. We don't have the numbers to justify that yet. You'll see it as this thing develops. So past performance is not indicative of future results. In my opinion, today's tricky, but we'll be able to handle it because we'll have the numbers and we piece it together with our reference bars. Today, I invited you here. I'll do it tomorrow for the sunrise signal. The sunrise signal is very important because I trade 24 hours. I sleep a little bit too, but I'm watching numbers, throughout that period, and I get my insights by doing that. And one of the most valuable things that I do is establish my pivot number. And I'll establish that if you're in TNT, usually the first to get it in the morning. This morning's pivot number was 58.75. And I was watching real close when they made the announcement, the news announcement on this bill. And it got up to 73. And I said, uh-oh, that thing should blow through my pivot if this is going to be positive. Well, it wasn't positive with the numbers. News is positive, but you had a divergence there and it came back down. We actually made new lows on the day. But if you look there at the pivot number, and when they announced the news, it was a great pivot number for the day, 58.75. Now you've had the market come down to 58.28 and is trying to mount a rally as we get into the cash, which the cash will be the most important. We get above 58.75, then we'll target 59.30. Get above 59.30, you're going to have a big day. That's the way today's set up. And I said, and I did say this, this is the kind of market I don't want to be short just based on the way it's trading. It's not coming down, staying down. What it's doing is having rapid falls and then snapping back. You got a snapback going on right now. Looking at that chart. Okay.
So the importance of Tom's daily pivot was kind of point number one this morning. Let's get into the sunrise signal, Tom. What do you think?
Let's go to the sunrise signal. All right, what we've done, yes, Jennifer, always on a 30-minute chart, but what we've done is we put selected charts in here that pop in during the sunrise signal. And Jonathan, if you will, why don't you read each chart and I'll talk about it, okay? Chart number one that they get, okay?
QQQ.
That's the QQQ. Notice that the sunrise signal has got a red arrow and we're below the RB2. Does everybody see that? That's a bearish tendency, okay? All right, that's on the QQQ. What's next?
Next chart is on the SPY.
Same signal below the whites. Everybody see it's below the whites. Did everybody see those white lines at RB2? And it's down here negative, okay?
The next chart is the evening futures.
Same thing, except it's really extended down to even lower lows in the cash. Cash is reluctantly coming down, but it's popping up, okay? So right now, you had the news come out, and the market is telling you right now, hold off, big boy, not yet. Not yet. Because your thoughts are, man, this news is going to be great. Market's going to blast higher. That's the thought I had, but the numbers are not there. That's all I'm telling you. Okay. And this is the value of this signal at 10 after 8. It comes out at 10 after 8. Okay. Now, do you start seeing why I'm big on this signal? Because I know we've been playing for this news to come out, but yet the effect in the market, okay? When I say cash, I'm talking about the cash market opening at 9:30, okay? No, it's just to help you know that is a sell signal on the old roadmap sell signal, what it's telling you. You made a lower low after the penetration bar. John, if you want to highlight that and show it to Jennifer where she can see it. Made a lower low of the penetration bar. The penetration bar is the first bar that went into the sell area. Okay. All right.
Next chart is the TQQQ.
Notice how it failed. It was up at the highs and it failed the TQQ and it made a new low too. But TQQ, looking at it right now, if you go look at MTI, it's got a red arrow. But I can tell you right now, looking at MTI, once we get above, looks like about 68.40, 68.40 area, then it's going to reverse and turn positive. Let's keep going.
Okay, next up, the SQQQ.
And the SQQ went from down to up and made a new high. But notice that it's got a top in it, not moving the way TQQ is. It's not as exaggerated.
All right, next up is crude oil, USO.
Well, crude oil, what's crude oil telling you? Okay, it's telling you that we sort of, or we came down to the white area, and I don't know what the low is, but whatever that low is, you break that low, you're going lower.
Looks to me like that's 66.5 level on USO.
Yep.
Next up was IWM.
This is the Russell. A lot of people trade it. I don't, but it's sort of matching if you look at it, maybe to some extent, like it's telling you big stocks and small stocks are down.
All right.
Now, the beautiful thing about this, you can be mobile or whatever, but it's delivering it to you, right to you. All right, what else? Is that it?
Gold, GLD.
Yeah, look at gold. GLD at this time of morning, was basically moving up from 303. It's currently 304, so it's moved up a little bit. Okay, got a positive bias there.
And Bitcoin.
Now, Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most solid trend of any we've seen, very deliberate. In fact, I bought more. I told you yesterday I bought MSTU. Y'all remember me telling you that in the close? And I said I also bought IBIT. Okay. So it's pretty cool. I added to it while I was coming here, by the way. I got a bigger position now than I did from last night on IBIT. Okay.
Then after the charts.
Yeah, see, that's the charts. This is the chart I really focus on. Notice it tells me right now that the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell are going down, bonds are going down, the SPY's going down. See how that is? Also tells me gold might be a potential trade up. Does everybody see that? Now, this is something that you got to learn. I had a discussion this morning with a client. If you can't buy on the stock side, you can't buy options during this time of day, right? Everybody acknowledges you can't buy options on stocks this time of day. But let's say that you were going to put $1,000 in options. Well, and you like gold, just hypothetically, you could go in and buy $1,000 worth of gold and make some money. That's an example. Or if you have a futures account, you can go in and trade futures, and options this time of day with futures. That's another advantage of futures. Okay. Now I've added to the sunrise signal. This is day one, but notice I put some of my favorite tickers: Palantir, NVIDIA, Tesla, CoreWeave, and MU. I think this is going to increase the value of the sunrise signal because I think when I show you the next move, which is you take this time of day, and this is where money's flowing, and you will take this list, and if you're in my daily double right now, you'll see the daily double with these same tickers. If they match up, then you got to trade. If they don't match up, you stay away. And that we'll know that at 10 after 9 or 10 after 10. You see what we're doing, piecing it together? You know, for people that don't want to trade stocks, but trade options. And we'll do that at that time of day. But this is a look that you got to overcome as you get into the cash market. A lot of value here. So it's 9 o'clock right now, okay? And the market is recovering like we talked. And let's go to one of our tools, Jonathan. You got other slides, or is that it?
No, that's it.
All right, go to MTI and put TQQ in there.
All right, let me get my Thinkorswim launch. Give me a moment.
Okay.
We'll look at TQQ on the roadmap. Time being.
You know, I tell everybody they already have the roadmap and MTI, but MTI is a very valuable tool on these changeovers from down to up, okay? If you look at on the roadmap, was that 68, take out that high, 68.86, I think, right? Okay. But I want to show you something on MTI
Almost there.
when he gets there. Now I'm going to probe MTI. Probe means I'm going to take a taste of MTI here at 68.53, 54 on a probe. Now, once I get a full green arrow on MTI, I'll turn the probe in, okay? You got it. You got a green arrow on yours, don't you?
Yeah, we're just at the top of the hour, so give it some time to
Yeah.
here.
So this is the beautiful thing about MTI, okay, is that you can go in MTI and take a position on TQQ this time of morning. That's why I think everybody ought to trade TQQ, SQQ. Does everybody see why I would take a probe here? And if you go back to the roadmap software, what's this? Let's piece it together. The high of that bar is 68.86. So you get above that, then you're breaking out. You could, but hey, anybody here against making 30 or 40 cents before we get our first cup of coffee down? Pretty cool, isn't it? Come on. Let me see you smiling. I've done showed you something this morning that you're not used to seeing, right? I've got a probe on right now. And if I break out of the roadmap 86, I'll make it a full position, or I'll take profit there and wait for it to open. How many people are glad I called the sunrise meeting this morning? Because this is, I know one person here is not. This is in the John had to really get up early. He's a sleeper. Anyway, but everybody else is glad, right? Okay. Now, we're here for you, so we get up. All right, so in TQQ, SQQ, I take a probe in TQQ. Now, you might as well show an IBIT since we got MTI up there, IBIT. Y'all see that green arrow there? I'm up 40 cents on my IBIT from where I got it off MTI. All right, we'll put TQQ in here, watch it trade, and we now have a pro position on. We're waiting for, you see how to integrate those two tools up. I'll just go back and just make that point again with the reference bars, how to integrate those two tools, because that's very important. That's the rest of the picture. You need to take out that 68.86 on TQQ to really have a good trade. Right now, it's just a scalp type situation. Okay? All right, Jonathan, why don't we do this? I've covered just about everything I'm going to cover. Why don't we stay with everybody, but let's take a big break. Maybe, can you play, how long is that? Remember that training I did on, I forget when I did it, but it was on emotions? Or play some tape where we can watch that while we're waiting for 9:30 to get here.
It's probably on the YouTube channel, I guess.
Okay. But let's come back at 9:30. That's 25 minutes from now, and check things out.
All right, Tom, let's search these videos and see.
Yeah, see what we got there.
Your newest video is Words of Caution.
Yeah, why don't you let them listen to that one?
Okay.
Hey folks, Tom Busby here. I want to warn you because I'm very passionate when I get an idea, and this is a tough game, and there is a high degree of risk involved in trading. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Now, here's what I want to tell you, in my opinion. I think that everybody there can train themselves, educate themselves, and go with a solid game plan commensurate with their own abilities. But you've got to be patient as you learn different things about the market. Patience will pay. Words of caution. Excitement, fear, greed, all those things get in the way of you being able to make money. Nothing I can do, nothing that you can do about those internal, I guess, reflex tendencies when it comes to money and risking it in the market. Words of caution. My background, I've been trained well. I've got a formal education, includes law school, but I'll tell you the following. The real education I got is from the School of Hard Knocks. I could not read and interpret without doing. Unfortunately for me, I lost a lot of money over the years figuring out what I know today. The good news is I think I've got it figured out and I can share that with you. My background includes 40 years of experience trading futures, options, stocks, and other related risk assets. So I've got some experience. Let me share it with you. But that doesn't guarantee you or put you in any better position because you're the one that controls your own mouse, as we say. But what I've learned is you have to be disciplined. You have to have a plan. You have to allocate your resources, not only your money resources, but your time. You can't overload your boat, is an old saying. The School of Hard Knocks taught me a lot. I made impulse buys, impulse sales. Fear was not the worst part for me. It was greed. I had to manage greed. So I had to use things like time of day, time of week, time of month to slow me down. I mean, I was so passionate about the stock market and everything that it could do for you that I sometimes overlook some basic things in my growth as a trader. So what I'm teaching you is real-time mistakes that you don't need to be making. So listen, and you'll hear me say these words over and over again, really for myself. Patience will pay. Have that plan. I have a plan every week. Starts on Sunday night. It goes through that week, certain days of the week, certain events that happen in the market. My plan is a comprehensive plan that I do almost like a standardized, it's time to start. Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Always remembering I got something new to learn every day. Risk taking. This is the part of trading that's the toughest. You make risk based on an assumption. Assumption might be right, might be wrong, but you take that risk and you need to have that, but way before you get involved in the actual trade itself. Those emotions will make you change it and they will mess you up. So plan it out. Now, as I always say, I'll see you on the flip side.
Right now, the sunrise signal is being posted in a beta room, or I call it beta, in my TNT room. You have to join TNT. That's dtitrader.com/TNT.
Hey Tom, we waiting for the cash open? Hey Joe, we didn't have any slides this morning. It was just a welcome and one slide that said the importance of the daily pivot. And today's pivot, if I throw up the S&P futures onto this MPI chart, today's pivot 58.75. We are still live, just waiting for the cash market to open. Got about 9 minutes. And we'll get the start of reference bar 3 and see what the market brings this morning in terms of when most of the US traders start trading. Hey, Dave, you talking about the MPI charts? Yeah, let me show you that real quick. On your normal viewpoint, not a bad tick there on the road, man. Let me fix that real quick. On your normal viewpoint for MTI, there's a daily chart and a 30-minute chart. Top right of the daily chart, there's a box. You can call it a navigation box or something like that, but it's 3 horizontal lines with dots out to the left. Not the one at the very top, but the one just to the top right along your kind of header bar for that individual chart. Best way I can explain it. If you click on that 3 horizontal box, you get a drop down. At the very bottom of the drop down is maximize cell. And that takes that specific chart to a maximize look right here. Dave, let me know if you need me to show you that again. All right, good deal. So we're watching the TQQQ. We got a 5-minute timer up for the cash market open. Let's see. How do you get back to the normal look? I've never attempted to get back to the normal look, but I think, well, what my guess is, so who asked that question? FBAS. Once we get to the maximize cell here, how do we get back to the normal look? There is an undo button at the top. See that? I just noticed that. Right up here. And if I put a mouse over it, it said minimize cell. And there you go. That is how you do that. All right, Tom will be on in a minute or two and we'll finish up this session. And we're inviting you all back to the 10:30 session. So stick around to hear some wrap-up thoughts from Tom. And then if you have the time, plan to be back at 10:30. We'll be live again. But give it a minute or two. Tom will be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to use every opportunity I had scheduled to invite people that's very interested in learning. And so we're going to open it up, let y'all come in there, and you'll see my topic, which is reference bars. And I'll be talking about that at 10:30 in the academy. So as far as today goes, let me look at the rest of my schedule. I had to refer back to it because we've been doing a lot more than we really planned on. But that's just the way it is. Today is Thursday. Yeah, the 10:30 Academy be my last public. I'll concentrate on the market and try to see what they're trying to tell us. Tomorrow, you're invited back at 8:30 for the sunrise signal, and at 3 for my weekly wrap up at Friday afternoon. But I want to do another session with everybody. Did you enjoy the sunrise session this morning? Is it worth coming back tomorrow? You want me to do it again? I'll do it again tomorrow if you want me to. But I'll plan on doing that. Also, who is in the weekly newsletter? Weekly newsletter. All right, I'm going to do a beta in the weekly newsletter. So you got to get into the Telegram room. I'm going to do some TQQ, SQQ trades in there and get some feedback from everybody. So it's another bonus of being in my weekly newsletter. I'm going to do that in that room. So Jonathan will put the weekly newsletter, how to sign up if they're not members to get in there. But I'll do that. And I'll do the sunrise session tomorrow. But if you're in the weekly newsletter, I'm gonna experiment a little bit with TQQ, SQQ for people. I'll do a beta for maybe 10, 15 days. We'll see. Won't be long, but we'll do it. But you got to be a member of the weekly newsletter to see it. All right, Jonathan, I'm done. I'll see everybody back at 10:30. We're sort of sitting there right about where we got in on the TQQ. We'll just see where it takes us. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.